Well, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you all so much for your contribution to this industry and networking with each other and taking this time. I'm excited to sit here with Jonathan Wheat. And today we just want to talk a little bit about how the city of Carrollton is using technology, culture, and alternative career development as a mechanism for addressing trends such as the labor shortage. I think following that last session, there's common themes that touch every industry today, but really wanted to highlight the city of Carrollton and some exciting things that y'all are working on. So to start, Jonathan, can you tell me a little bit about your background and your role at the city of Carrollton?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thank you for all the panel members and folks who have been presenting all day today and continue to present afterwards for sharing their wisdom and knowledge with us, especially for the folks at InfoDay for putting this together. I think this is a fantastic event. I'm just glad to be a part of it. But as far as my background, I am an Aggie, as many folks in the room and presenters have been. And I graduated, I'm an engineering student, went to oil and gas, spent a decade doing that, and then eventually got to the point where I wanted to find a place that matched my values, matched the culture that I was looking for, and is absolutely lucky enough to come upon the city of Carrollton and join their team as the director of engineering. And so a lot of what I like doing on focusing on the culture side of things and digitization, we did a lot of that in oil and gas, and so came over and started working through that.
I love that. So what is unique about the city of Carrollton's culture?
So the city of Carrollton, we focus a lot on being better, faster, and friendlier, and making a difference in our community and impacting lives of our residents and our businesses, and making really Carrollton a place that they want to call home. And so one of the big things that the city does from a standpoint of our employees is that we focus on a talent exchange program. So our different departments can have their employees interact with other departments and go spend some time with them, learning what they do and how they do things, and just more about what we do as a city as a whole. We focus on our future public leaders, our future public employees. So that's really, bring your kids to work day, but they get to climb up on the public works equipment, visit with public works staff, visit with police, fire, city management, and city leaders, and just spend some time learning about what it means to be a public leader. We have the apprenticeship program. And so that's kind of one of those really neat things that where not everyone goes to college. A lot of people you finish high school and you're done with school. Like that's it. And so we bring in local high school students to start an apprenticeship program in their senior year. And really the whole goal is to get them into the public workforce and to build that career from a very early stage and go through the training. We've got a whole lot of stuff going on at the city of Carrollton as far as culture, but yeah, those are some of the big highlights.
I love that. Starting them young. City governments are obviously not immune from the impacts of the labor shortage. Can you talk a little bit about how the city of Carrollton approaches that challenge?
Absolutely. So, as everyone has said, the workforce is a challenge. There's a shortage. I'm convinced there are more civil engineering jobs than there are civil engineers in this current environment, and we're not immune to that. We've had three openings for a while. So, really how not only on the culture side for recruiting, talking through everything that we just spoke about and all the different things we have going on in the city, but really from a digitalization standpoint. So we recently passed a huge bond program. Denton County passed a huge bond program, which we were thankfully have a couple projects on. So that means a lot more work coming down the pipe for our engineering project managers with the same amount of workforce. So we've been focusing on the digitalization piece. And as we recently integrated Procore into the engineering department, which allows our project managers, they get to be more efficient with their time, communications, and skills, and oversee more projects than they were able to oversee back when we were using crayons and paper. So,
Definitely. So with that notion of digitization, I imagine it's helped with recruitment, but I also imagine that there were other motivations for implementing a construction project management software. So what prompted the city to start an evaluation and search for a new solution?
Yes, so we took a look at, from the standpoint of, I said crayons, but it wasn't crayons, using Microsoft Excel for everything we do, using notebooks, tally books, writing down what we saw in the field, recording everything that had been going on projects, and just ultimately that form of communication and that form of recording didn't really work for future projects. So if you look back then 30 years ago, well, you're trying to find a piece of paper of what had happened on January 20th, 1975. It's like, I have no idea. So we wanted to move to something where we could more easily and efficiently communicate, more easily and efficiently oversee our projects, to know what's happening on a day-to-day basis, to provide those updates to our various departments and internal customers. And so we wanted to move to be able to say, hey, this happened in the field. Now our project manager knows immediately when that happens, and just our other departments can log in. So public works, parks, facilities, all those different departments can log in to one central place and get an update and see their project as it moves along through a scheduling system. So that was a large portion of it. Our inspectors have loved moving into the digital world. Recently, they like to be able to walk around, take pictures of what's happening in the field, make voice comments, so they don't have to write anymore. They can just speak into something, and so we get the real action of what's happening on a day-to-day basis, and just overall be able to see what's happening, when it's happening, and just there's not a lot of questions about it. There's a picture, there's a speech, or some of them still write, but they're able to record exactly what's happening, what they're seeing, talk to the contractors, talk to our clients, our internal clients, and really just kind of work through the whole process. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, I love the progress that y'all have made. And I am curious, what's the ideal state that you hope to achieve? What's in the future for you with digitization?
Yeah, and I think that's a big piece of digitization is if you're not thinking long term, you'll never start off the right way. So as you begin moving into digitization, man, that's a hard word. As you begin moving into that, and moving more online into the online world and into the clouds, as everyone says, as you begin that process, if you haven't thought through like what's your end game, it's a really difficult to start off. And so like for us, when we sat down and discussed, okay, what do we think of moving into an online version, get away from Excel, everyone having their own files, everyone having their own processes and things like that, and moving into, a long-term, we all have it in one place, and really just catching up to today's technology. We thought through being able to essentially start something on paper, right? Because you have to, engineering drawings always happen some form or fashion on a piece of paper, move that onto an online drawings, design online, store those online, make comments on those drawings online, and then move that into construction, have bids online, have your contractors online, have all the email process online, and then move it into project management where everything is online. So you're making as-builts in the field, some things just happen, you got to make changes. That's online, that's recorded online. It goes through the approval process, which again is online. So there's never a question of, well, who said, make that alley 2 feet wider? Well, no, that's who said it. It's right there. It's approved. And it's in the new updated drawings because it was 2 feet wider. So moving all that online, and then even being able in the future to, accept payments or pay our contractors, get our pay apps online, approve them online, get it flowing through the whole system. So there's no more paper being printed off and signed on, being handed off, having to walk upstairs, hand this off, get it signed, go back downstairs, go over to the other department, wherever you have to go, right? So our goal is to make everything from the very beginning to the very end to happen all in an online fashion.
Absolutely. So as organizations start to seek out digital tools, what's one piece of advice you would give to other municipalities and agencies considering an investment in digitization?
So again, I think it's thinking in your long-term future of what you really want out of going into the digitization process. So what you see as a future, what your clients see as a future, your customers, whether that be your citizens or your internal departments. For us, since we, in engineering, we do projects that affect both public and our internal departments. So you think through what you want to see in the long term. And then also as you prepare to move into that, make sure you have everything documented that you currently do. So you ferret out all the details and all the inconsistencies that may exist between one project manager and another project manager, or even one department, how they like to be communicated to in another department, because everyone has a different form of communication they like to see. So you want to make sure you're addressing that and putting that all on paper prior to even starting the process. Because once you have it all on paper, the implementation becomes so much easier because you just move it all to online instead of moving it all online and then finding out, hey, well, I don't want email updates on my project. I want you to call me. I mean, like, well, we should have known that before we started this. So,
So how has this changed reporting for you going to digital?
So on the reporting piece, it's really helpful because we're in future going to integrate with Power BI and things like that, or some form or fashion of suite of data analytics for all of our departments. Right now, engineering has their version of that, but really being able to see things as they happen in real time, project updates, project schedules, to be able to send out reports. You can even automate the reports, right? And so like it's no longer a question of if someone got the report, it's if they read their email. Because it's automated now, so it's getting there. You don't have to wonder, Friday morning scrambling, trying to send out a report for this is what we achieved for this week, or Tuesday morning if we have a meeting later that night, or if we have a neighborhood meeting to discuss a project, anything like that. You always have your updates live, they're real time. You're not emailing people asking, hey, I need all this information. It's already there. It's already in one system. So that's, from a reporting standpoint, that's been the best thing in the world.
Definitely. So stepping away from software and back to kind of City of Carrollton and projects, what steps are you taking to ensure you're prioritizing projects that meet the needs of your communities?
So we spend an awful amount of time prioritizing projects and really scoping and grading them, and it's a very multifaceted piece. So one of the big things that we do from a bond standpoint, right? So there's bonds, there's pay as you go funding from a municipal standpoint, but from the bond aspect, we rate and grade all of our streets, and so this is just applying to streets for right now because there's everything we do. But we also we try to do neighborhoods as a whole. So we try to reconstruct our whole neighborhoods when we go in there, instead of doing a street and then doing a street and then doing a street and then 5 years later come back, do a street, do a street, do a street. So we try to do a whole neighborhood process, and so we rake and grade those neighborhoods, and then present them to our capital improvement advisory committee, which is made up of citizens throughout the city. And so they make comments and they really understand why we rated them, why we graded them. They'll go out, drive the streets, walk the streets, view them, make their recommendation, which goes to council on projects. And then council will do the same thing. They'll go look at streets, they'll drive streets, they'll see our, we obviously will do an online tour as well, so you can go see kind of from a drone view what streets look like, and they go out, and then so once that's approved, then we've already got our list, we've got our order and how we're going to do those streets. And then same thing, facilities, same thing. We do a lot of water, wastewater master planning, parks and facilities master planning. I mean, we take a lot of info from citizens and try to think through how we're best serving their needs.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, it looks like we are right at time, but I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you, talk about City of Carrollton, highlight the ways that you're approaching making the City of Carrollton culture and career development attractive to address the labor shortage, and the way you're thinking about digitization. It was great sitting down with you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure y'all are all hungry. So thank you so much for sitting with us. And we'll be out in the front at the table, at the Procore table, if you want to chat.